Hi, friends. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to share with you about my signature course, She Sells Wholesale. I know so many of you guys ask questions about how do you get started with wholesaling because it can be complicated. I know because I have been there. And when I first started wholesaling my candles with my candle company, Heart Design Co., I failed miserably for several months, but I hit month 3 and I had my candles in over 120 retailers. So I am sharing with you my exact framework inside my signature course, She Sells Wholesale, and you can jump on the wait list at shesellswholesale.com. I only open up the course twice a year, so you want to make sure that you get on the wait list so you know when the course opens up, and it's opening soon. I will actually send you a free gift when you sign up on the wait list. So check it out at shesellswholesale.com. That's shesellswholesale.com. Welcome back to Encore December on the She Sells Differently podcast. Every week this month, I am bringing back my most talked about high impact episodes. And today's topic, one word, fair. If you've ever thought, should I sell my products wholesale on Faire, this episode is your decision-making cheat sheet. With over 700,000 retailers, Faire sounds like a no-brainer. But is it? Inside this episode, I break down the retailer perks and payment terms that make Faire attractive for all of those retailers. And then I also talk about the real cost of the commissions. Yep, up to 19%. You think about just the 15%, but you don't think about all of those extra costs associated with selling on Faire. So I break those down for you. And we also talk about how the algorithm impacts your visibility and what to do about it. So you will walk away knowing exactly what to watch for, how to optimize your presence, and whether Faire is the right wholesale move for your brand. Enjoy. Hi, friends. Welcome to She Sells Differently, the show for aspiring women entrepreneurs looking to overcome the fear of selling and grow thriving businesses from a place of authenticity and confidence. I'm Andee Hart, and it wasn't all that long ago that I was a sales executive for a Fortune 500 company. But I knew in my heart that I was called to use my gifts for something more, something different. That's exactly why I created the She Sells Differently podcast. Each episode is going to deliver you business strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to help set you and your brand apart from our culture's expectations. It's time to elevate your sales and build a profitable, sustainable business you're proud of, one built on integrity, grace, and humility. It's time to learn how to sell differently. Welcome to the She Sells Differently podcast. I am so grateful that you are taking time out of your day to be here to listen to the podcast. I would be even more grateful if you would take 30 seconds and subscribe to the podcast so you will not miss an episode in the future because I have so much great content to bring you. If you will pause, subscribe, and even rate and review, that would be a huge blessing to me. Now, on to today's episode. We are talking all about Faire Marketplace. And stay tuned to the end because if you are one of those product makers that has applied to sell on Faire, but you have been waitlisted, I am going to share with you how I can help fast track you off that waitlist. So stay tuned to the end and I will share how I can help you out with that. I hear questions all of the time from product makers about, is Faire the right place for me to sell my products? How to utilize Faire? What are the biggest mistakes that people make on Faire? Or they just can't seem to get their brand and their products visible. And this podcast is the right place for you if you have ever had any of those questions, or if you simply want to scale your business through wholesale. So welcome, and we are going to dive in today on just understanding the pros and cons of Faire. And is Faire the right marketplace for your business? I will tell you up front, Faire is not the only place that you should be selling wholesale as a product maker, but it is absolutely a great place to work smarter and not harder. If there is one thing I have learned in over 18 years of sales, you absolutely have to learn strategies that help you work smarter. And Faire is a great place to do that. So I'm going to help you understand the ins and outs, the pros and cons of Faire today. So now, without further ado, let's jump right on in. Let's talk through some of the pros. One of the things that Faire does really, really well, and I should start by saying this, the reason that Faire came to be is because during the pandemic, and everyone's probably very, very familiar with Atlanta. Atlanta Market is probably the biggest trade show in the world, retail trade show in the world. Atlanta Market, if you have not been there, there are 3 buildings in downtown Atlanta, and they are probably 27 stories tall and huge, huge floors of showrooms. They have temporary space, but they put on trade shows multiple times a year, and then they have permanent showrooms as well for some of the larger key accounts. And what they do is they have those trade shows depending on the season. So sometimes they're fashion geared more towards clothing. Sometimes they're geared towards gift and home. And they connect retailers with wholesale brands. So the wholesale brands set up and display to sell, and the retailers come there to shop and place orders. So obviously during the pandemic, that really was not an option to bring everyone together physically. And that was when Faire really became huge. Faire really became big during the pandemic. And now Faire has over 700,000 retailers, 700,000 boutiques that shop on the Faire platform. Anyone want to guess how many brands or how many wholesalers sell on Faire? It's actually a little over 100,000. So when you think about 100,000 versus 700,000 retailers, that's actually a pretty big delta, right? So the thing that Faire does really well is they offer incentives to retailers so that they will shop on their platform. They offer incentives to retailers so that they will shop on their platform. One of those is they offer buyer protection. So let's say, for example, they purchase on the platform and the wholesale brand does not fulfill the order. The retailer does not have to pay. Now, Faire does a lot of vetting on the retailer and the wholesale brand just to be able to buy and to sell on the platform. So the likelihood of that happening, not likely, but Faire will take the hit and protects both the seller and the buyer in that situation. So they do a lot of incentives for the retailer to purchase on their platform. They also offer terms. So they will offer 30 or 60-day terms for the retailer, depending on the length of time the retailer's been on the platform, different things like that. And those terms will also be very helpful for the amount that the retailer can purchase on the platform. And then they also offer shipping discounts. So there is a program called Faire Insider Program. It's a subscription. It's $19.99 a month for the retailer. and they will get access to a certain number of brands on Faire's platform that they can get free shipping with. So that's a huge incentive for retailers to shop on Faire. Huge incentive. Because if retailers are shopping directly with a retailer, a lot of retailers, a lot of smaller brands like us, we don't offer terms and we don't offer free shipping. And that's okay, but that's why a lot of retailers will shop directly on Faire. Now, once those retailers get to know us as small businesses, they do want to shop directly with us to support us because they understand how Faire works. And there are other ways that we can incentivize them to shop directly with us. So those are some of the pros. And they also offer incentives to buyers. So they offer buyer protection and promotion matching. So at twice a year, Faire offers summer and winter markets, and they will actually match your promotions up to 5%. So that is actually money back in your pocket that they will help promote your brand at those markets. So if you offer a 5% promotion, Faire will match that, and that will be a 10% promotion to a retailer. And then they will offer brand protection as well. I actually just had a situation where I had a wholesale order that was damaged in shipping. And so the retailer filed a claim and asked for me to resend the product. And I reached out to them and asked them to I sent them a shipping label, asked them to send the product back to me so that I could fix the product, because these are dough bowl candles. I knew I could fix the product and it would be reusable. And they never responded to me. I sent them new product. They filed another claim. So because they never responded to me, I was going to be out several $100s. So I filed a claim with Faire, and they actually denied the second claim for the retailer. So they do offer brand protection for the wholesalers as well. And I find Faire support very, very easy to work with as well. Okay, let's talk about a few cons of selling on Faire. Here's a big one. Elephant in the room. 15% commission on all orders that Faire brings to you. So when Faire makes a connection between a brand and a retailer, they take a 15% cut. Now, I actually calculate that as more like a 19% cut, because you have to think about an initial order. When it's a first time order for a retailer, they also take a $10 fee out of that. And then you have some payout fees depending on how quickly you want your payout. So I actually calculate that as about a 19% fee. Now, here's something I want you to think about. If you are attending as a brand and attending a trade show like Atlanta, Dallas, Vegas, New York now, it is going to cost you anywhere on average from $8,000 to $15,000 just to prepare and have a professional looking booth at that show. If you do a temporary, if you are in a permanent showroom and have a sales rep, they are going to take a 20% cut of any orders, 20% cut of any orders. So a 15 to 19% cut all of a sudden doesn't look so bad, right? You have to start thinking like a CEO. And when you start thinking like a CEO, you have to start looking at Faire like you are outsourcing your sales. Like you are outsourcing your sales. So they are acting like a sales rep for you, and they are bringing together and making connections between you and the retailer, just like a sales rep would be. And so that is why they are taking that commission. So that is a lower commission than what you would find a sales rep that is out on the road taking. That is at a minimum 20%. The next, though, let's address this. Navigating Faire's algorithm is going to be challenging. Absolutely.
Now, there are ways to overcome that. I will tell you this, even as a retailer, it can be challenging to navigate the algorithm because as a retailer, I get shown the same brands all the time. So you have to do some work as a wholesale brand to overcome that algorithm. That is a natural part of putting in the work as a business owner. So if you are going to wholesale on Faire, you have to know that you cannot put your shop out there and set it and forget it. You have to put in the work. And I usually recommend my students that once a week or every other week, you set some time on your calendar, 30 minutes to an hour, to put in some work to navigate Faire's algorithm. 30 minutes to an hour. It really doesn't take any more time than that. Faire, and this is a challenging one that people often don't think about, Faire does not show you retailers' email addresses. So I want you to equate this with social media. If social media went down tomorrow and you've lost all your followers, how would that impact your business? Faire does not show you retailers' email addresses. So if Faire tanked tomorrow, do you have all of your contacts, all of your retailer contact information? That's another huge challenge. You want to make sure that if something happens to Faire tomorrow, you still have a way to reach out to your retailers and sell your products to them. So that is another con of selling on Faire. So a couple of other things, Faire Direct really makes it easy to embed your Faire Direct link with potential retailers right on your website, and you can get 0% commission on those orders. Now, the con with that is that there's no tracking cookie for that. And what I mean by that is that on the back end, when a retailer clicks on that Faire Direct link, and maybe they don't sign up for Faire right then, but then they go back and they sign up for Faire later, but they don't sign up by going back and clicking through your link, that's not a Faire Direct customer for you. Meaning Faire doesn't recognize that they originally clicked on your link. There's no tracking link through that. So you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that because you want to zero out your commission as much as possible. That's more money in your pocket. The other thing is that Faire is still a marketplace, just kind of like Etsy is. And so they will still show other brands alongside yours. You know, kind of like it says, if you like this product, you might also like this one. You might also like this brand. And so it's easy for retailers to go and get off of your product page or get distracted from your products. And that can be very frustrating. I want this to just be an awareness for you. I think Faire is a great place to sell smarter and not harder. That's what I always say about Faire. So anyone that is telling you not to be on Faire or not to wholesale on Faire, I think that is simply just working harder because I think Faire is a great place for retailers and brands to connect. What you have to do, though, is you have to do your due diligence as the CEO of your brand, and you have to know how to navigate the algorithm. This is not the only place to sell wholesale. You do not put all of your wholesale eggs in the Faire basket. It is simply a place to work smarter, not harder. Okay, so that's a wrap on the first episode in this mini series about wholesaling on Faire Marketplace. Just a quick reminder, if you want access to the full series, it's available on a private podcast, and you can get access to that at the link in the show notes. And that is available for a limited time. It is only available for a limited time. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you are one of those product makers or one of those brands that has applied to sell on Faire and you have been waitlisted, send me an email at hello@andeehart.com. That's hello at ANDEEHART, hello@andeehart.com. Send me your email address and your website, and I will help get you fast-tracked off that wait list. So send me an email and I will help you with that. Hopefully this has been very helpful and you will dive into that private podcast because I have a lot more great episodes coming your way. I will have a brand new episode of the She Sells Differently podcast coming up for you next week. So stay tuned next Wednesday. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app. And until then, I am cheering you on. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of She Sells Differently. Friends, it would be a huge blessing to me if you would take 2 seconds to rate and subscribe to my podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Until then, I'm cheering you on in your entrepreneurial journey. See you next time.